This is a Friday Shoes production. This is lesson 5-2 in our books on page 256. And the target is I can write percents as fractions and decimals and vice versa. Reverse that. All right, let's talk about those fractions and percents and decimals that we all know about. As you know, fractions, percents, and decimals are all different ways to represent the same ratio. You gotta have a little picture there. They have a fraction, 45 over 100. That can be changed into a decimal by taking 45 divided by 100 and get 0.45. And we move the decimal to the right 2 spots, and that's 45%. Now it states here, remember that percent means per 100. Literally, that's what it means. It actually means divide by 100. So you'll see a lot of times where we write this actually means per 100. Anytime you divide by 100, you're getting a percent. Moreover, if you see here, our concept summary, percents and decimals, when we change a percent to a decimal, what we're really doing is dividing by 100. So when we change a percent, and this is the symbol for the percent, you've seen that before, you're changing it to a decimal, again, you're dividing by 100. So when we take 45%, we change that to our decimal, we literally are dividing this number 45 by 100. In essence, what that does is just move the decimal over 2 spots and gets rid of the percent. So you'll end up with 0.45. Likewise, when we take a decimal and we change it to a percent, we're going to be multiplying by 100. For instance, if you take the 0.45 that we have, and we want to change that to a percent, we would be multiplying by 100. And what that does is moves the decimal over 2 spots. Then we put our percent on it. All right, let's take a look at example 1 here. It says, write each percent as a decimal. Well, simply, what we want to do is take and divide by 100. Now, the fast way is kids just learn we're going to move the decimal basically to the left. When we have a percent and we want to change to a decimal, we just move the decimal spot 2 spots to the left. Now remember, the decimal is always to the right of the given number unless it's actually in the number. So right there, we move it over 2 spots and we end up with 0.35. How about 115%? A little more tricky because it has 3 digits here. It's greater than 100. Well, you take your 115%, you move the decimal over 2 spots to the left, which is just like dividing by 100. You end up with 1.15, and you remove the percent symbol. So there's your answer. 115% is actually 1.15 as a number. 35% is 0.35 as a number. How about you give it a shot? Why don't you pause the video and try these 3 right here. Come on back, say I do. All right, 27%. Well, to change a percent to a decimal, all we do is move the decimal to the decimal spot 2 spots to the left, which is actually dividing by 100, and then get rid of the percent sign. So we end up with 0.27. Many times you'll see that I'll put a 0 in front of that. It just means there's no whole number there. How about 145%? Again, take your 145, find the decimal, move it over 2 spots. That's the same as dividing by 100. So we'll end up with 1.45. Pretty simple concept. Same with 0.2%. I see the decimal in there though. We're going to end up taking 0.2 divided by 100. And if you do that, you end up just moving the decimal over 2 spots. Now if you take the decimal, move it over 2 spots, and there it is now, cross it off there. You have to fill in this little spot right here with a 0. So we move the decimal to that spot, and that's what the number would look like when you change 0.2% to an actual number, decimal number. All right. How about decimals as percents? It says write each decimal as a percent. Well, as I stated earlier, this one we'd actually be multiplying by 100, which means moving the decimal over 2 spots. So multiplying by 100 actually just moves the decimal over 2 spots. Notice we're going to have to fill in with a 0 there. So we're going to end up having 20, and then we add that percent symbol. So it's 20%. 0.2 is actually 20%. Same thing here with the fourth example, 1.66. We're going to multiply by 100, which is really just moving the decimal to the right 2 spots, and that's 166. Remove the decimal from that spot there. It should be all the way on the right. And we add our percent symbol. Study tip here says, notice that decimals like 1.66 that are greater than 1 are equivalent to percents greater than 100. Meaning anything that you have above 1, you'll get a percent that's greater than 100. And notice we did. It's 166%. Again, it's just moving the decimal either left or right and adding a percent or subtracting a percent sign. How about you try this one? Write each decimal as a percent. Come on back, see how you do. All right, simple. 0.833. We're going to multiply this by 100 and add a percent symbol. When you do that, move over 2 spots. You end up with 83, and then you add the percent symbol. Same with E here, 1.764. We're going to multiply that by 100, add a percent symbol. Multiplying by 100 again just moves the decimal 2 spots. So we end up with 176.4, and you put this percent on it. And the last one, 0.005, 5 thousandths. Well, you multiply that by 100, moves the decimal over 2 spots, you end up having 0.5%. All right, how about fractions as percents? How do we take a fraction and change it to a percent? Well, here's the first method. It says use a proportion. We know that percent means out of 100. So you literally, if you look here, you take 3/8 and you set it equal to something out of 100, which means percent. And then you cross multiply 3 times 100 and 8 times x, divide by the 8 here in the end, and you get 37.5. And that would be 37.5%. Now there is a second method, and that is write your fraction as a decimal. How do we do that? Well, we take the top and we divide by the bottom. So you take 3 and divide by, it looks like they're missing a piece here. Take 3 and divide by 8. You get 3 divided by 8, and that equals 0.375. Then you take your decimal, like we just talked on the other page, and change it to a percent by moving it over 2 spots and adding the percent symbol. Either way works. So 3/8 is actually 37.5 out of 100, or what we wanted, 37.5%. Take a look at this one right here. How about 2/3 as a percent? This one's going to be a repeating decimal. Well, 2/3 equals 0.6, and it goes on forever. So what we would do is we would move the decimal over 2 spots once we change it to a decimal. Now we're going to change it to the percent. So we're actually changing a fraction to the decimal, then to the percent. So that's kind of the process we're doing, step by step. So there you are. We took the fraction, changed it to a decimal right here, and now we're going to change it to a percent here. And we did. We moved the decimal over 2 spots, and you can see it's 66.6 repeating. That 6 keeps going, but you put the percent on there. So 2/3 is actually 66.6 repeating percent. Now, many times in the real world, we'll just estimate this out to be 67% or 67.7%, so we don't have the repeating symbol in there. All right. How about you try a couple? Come on back, see how you did. Say, it says write each fraction as a percent. Okay. Well, I can show you you can take 7 divided by 25 and get that decimal. Or I can see right away that 25, if I multiply it by 4 on the bottom, I'll get to 100. Multiply by 4 on the top, and I'll get to 28. That's 28 out of 100. Well, I want a percent. That means out of 100. So it's going to be 28%. Once you have the fraction written with 100 on the bottom, the top number is the percent, because that division by 100 means percent. How about 3/16? 3/16, 16 doesn't go into 100 evenly. So what I have to do is then actually divide 3 by 16. When I do that, I have my decimal here, bring it up to the top, pull out another 0 out of the ear, put it there. We're going to have 116. We're going to subtract. We get 14. We bring it down another 0. And we got 140. And we've got, let's see here, well, 10 of them makes 160. So I'm going to go with, let's see, 8 of them I think is going to work. 8 times 16, that's 8. Carry the 4, that's 128. So 128. All right, so we've got ourselves 12 here. 0, bring that down. All right, so we've got 120. Well, that's going to look like it's going to be a 7. So 7 times, well, this will be just 1 less here. So let's take 116 off of that because that was 8 of them. And we got 2 there. And we've got 11, 112. Okay. And now we've got ourselves 8. Bring down another 0. And I know that 16 goes into 80 5 times exactly. So that's going to be nice. We're going to run out of space there too. So it's 0.1875. That took a little bit of time. You can use your calculator though. Then if we want to change that to a percent, what is that going to be? Well, 1 2 spots, and then add on the percent symbol. So that's 18.75. All right, what about 1/9 here on the end? I know that this is 0.11111. It keeps going. Changing it to a percent, move the decimal over 2 spots, we end up with 11.1 repeating. Keep going. Put on a percent sign. There it is. All right, moving on. Here's the 7th example. It's a real-world example. It says comparing numbers. In a recent survey, 0.6 of the people said they will use their tax refund to pay bills, and 7% said they will just spend it. Do more people pay bills or spend their refund? Now, the tricky part is they give it to you as a decimal number, and then they give you the next one as a percent number. Well, you have to convert those to be in the same type of number. So, since 0.6 is equal to 60%, and 60% is greater than 7%, more people plan on using their tax refund to pay bills than for spending. Now, just so you understand, again, that 0.6, they've changed that to a percent by moving it over 2 spots, filling in with the 0 right here, and then putting a percent on it. So 0.6 is actually 60%. That's way larger than 7%. How about you give it a shot here? In a survey, 14% of students said they would travel over spring break, and 3 out of 25 said they would watch videos. Is a bigger part of students traveling or watching videos? Well, first off, we've got 3/25, and that's equal to 12 100ths. I actually did that. I changed this into, again, hundredths by multiplying by 4. So I got 12 100ths. Well, hopefully you remember now, if you have 100 on the bottom, the top number is the percent. So we have, there it is, 12%. So we have 14% versus 12%. Wow, 14% is greater than 12%. Therefore, more students are traveling than watching videos. All right, and our last example here. Taking and ordering numbers. We'll take a look at these numbers. They have 30%, 3 over 100, 7 over 20, and 0.33. And they want you to put those in order from least to greatest. Well, step 1, put them all into the same version or same type of number. In this case, they're changing everything into percent, which is a very good way to do these. Many times you'll probably do that. So changing them to a percent, you've got 3 100ths is 3%. 7 over 20 is actually 35 over 100, which is 35%. And 0.33 is 33%. Just move the decimal to the right, add a percent sign. All right, so since you have that, you can then put them all in order, 3%, 30%, 33%, and 35%, and then put them back into their original form, and there they are from least to greatest. How about you give it a shot? Pause the video and come on back, see how you did. All right, this one has 22%, 1/10, 3/25, and 0.25. Well, change them either into percents or decimals so that you compare them. I'm going to change them into percents. So check this out. 22% is already a percent, so that's easy. 1/10 is actually 10%. And 3/25 is 12%. I remember that from the previous example. 0.25 changes into 25%, just the way that we stated it before. So now that you have those, then you just order those from least to greatest. And that's pretty simple. So we have 1/10, 3/25, 22%, and 0.25. That's all. If you need to rewatch the video, go right ahead. Or you can look at the examples in the book. Or you can see some of the personal tutor videos that are online in our online textbook. As usual, this has been a Friday Shoes production.